Health inspectors were hard at work finding the cleanest restaurants across the city and the ones that need to clean up.
Tonight's violations include 3 popular family dinner destinations.
KCBD News Channel 11's Christy Harden dishes out the details in tonight's Food for Thought, starting with those violations. Christy?
Anna's Mexican restaurant at 6909 Indiana had 20 violations. Here's a look at their priority violations. Green chilies did not have a date mark. Utensils were cleaned but were not being sanitized. A sanitizing solution was at toxic levels. The sanitizer in the dishwasher was not strong enough. Cans were dented. This can cause botulism. A toxic item was not labeled. Not all employees had a current food handler certification, and there was no certified food manager available. The report shows most of the violations were corrected at the time of the inspection. China Star Asian Buffet at 1919 50th had 24 violations. Here's a look at their priority violations. Sushi on the sushi line was above the safe cold temperature of 41 degrees. Multiple items on the buffet were not at least 135 degrees, including shrimp, ribs, catfish, and chicken. Ready-to-eat ribs and chicken did not have a date mark. Raw beef was stored above ready-to-eat raw shrimp. Sanitizer solution was at toxic levels. An employee was experiencing persistent coughing, and the thermometer in the reach-in cooler was not accurate. The report shows most violations were corrected while the inspector was there. Cracker Barrel at 5018 Milwaukee had 32 violations. Here's a look at their priority violations. Multiple utensils, glasses, and pans were dirty but stored with clean wares. The defector plate in the ice machine was dirty. The cook used a food bag to cover their hand while handling raw salmon, then touched the plate the salmon was on with their bare hand and continued food prep. Toxic items were not stored properly. The sprayer at a sink was kept in a dirty bowl in between uses. A cutting board was scratched and had black spots on it. Plastic food containers were cracked. Gaskets on the thawing cooler were torn. Wastewater from the dishwasher was overflowing onto the floor. The 3-compartment sink was leaking into a tub that was also overflowing onto the floor. There were no food handler certifications available for the staff. Employees were using a non-approved method of hand washing when handling raw foods on the cook line. The inspector notes, due to the number and the nature of the violations, management did not show proper food safety knowledge. The report shows most of the violations were corrected at the time of the inspection. Now to the good news. Here's a look at this week's top performers. Easy Peasy Lemonade and Papa V Pizza at 8008 Abbeville. For KCBD News Channel 11's Food for Thought, I'm Christy Harden.